Well, hello, folks. I'm L.A. Little, and this is your daily NeoTA wrap. Where we take a look at these markets, we do it from a neoclassical perspective each time, asking ourselves what happened today. What does it tell us about the coming ones? I do this show 4 times a week, every Monday through Thursday. It's broadcast at or before 10 o'clock Eastern Time. It's archived on YouTube. It's under the channel L.A. Little. As far as what happened, it really wasn't much today. I don't have the ending numbers like I usually do. I was on a plane today. But as far as what happened, we were down, anywhere from 0.25 to about 0.3, or maybe 0.4 on some of the indexes. But we really didn't get much in the way of a sell-off. And in general, what we had was we had the markets just stand still, basically, nothing happening. Last week we had a dearth of action in terms of giving us any kind of signals. Tonight's even worse. I mean, we did do over-unders, but I don't think they really mean anything at this point. So really nothing tonight to report in terms of usefulness, in terms of where this market's going to go. Whether I look here at the S&P 500 or if I move over to the NASDAQ, or even if I move to the NDX where we had the Apple, reporting brisk orders for the new iPhone, pre-orders. It still didn't get anything, right? Apple pushed up, was up about 1% on the day, but the rest of the market couldn't do anything. Looking here at Europe, we really didn't get a lot of signals there either, but a little bit inside day on the DAX, but the story, if there was one, was over on the CAX, and it was on the CAX where we actually saw some degradation, right, where price comes back in, is coming back towards that swing point low. So we may get some sort of a signal here out of the CAX, but outside of that, not a lot in the way of anything across most of these markets. The only one that really caught my eye today, here's the Nikkei coming back down, was the Taipei market, Taiwan. Taiwan is actually still pushing this move to the upside. And you remember Taiwan was one of the first ones to give us a signal on the way down in terms of the strength of this decline. And it came down in waves and just came straight down, no kind of recovery. And now it actually has an ABCD structure going to the top side. So the move here, when I look at it, and if I draw that in the ABCD structure, the move here is not bad at all, right? You've got an A point, a B point, and then take the C point up about equidistance. It's going to take you back into these swing point lows, which is the retest regenerate zone on this particular chart. So, and the reason I bring up Taipei and always watch it is because it has such an effect on what happens with us here with the SOX. You can see here this thing is pushing up just like Taipei, and in many cases you will see it mirror what's happening there. And let's get this drawn in right. So then we have the B point and then the C point, right, all the way up from there. So a nice little movement going on here. If I can actually get this drawn correctly, there we go. To the top side, right, where this could actually get into this again, and if it works out, could push up quite a bit higher. So SOX is one that I'm really keeping my eye on because tech usually is what leads on the upside. So if we're going to get some upside action, I think it will be in tech. I don't have much more to say, but I had a good viewer question tonight, and I'm going to turn to it because it has to do with the general market. And the question was, and I'll go back to the S&P 500, and the question was having to do with various scenarios that could play out. And so if I look at this chart, let me draw the context in case you haven't seen some of the recent videos. We've talked about a bearish retest regenerate off this prior swing point low. So when we talk about that, right, to get up into that area would actually require some sort of a projection to the top side. And if I draw that in, right, it might look something like this, right, where you get a move off that get over this B point here, and then that could project you right up into that area. Now, the question really was, is this possible? Would the Fed kind of drive something like this? Could this take place off the Fed? And sure, I mean, it's not, I've talked about before, this is the key area. This is what it's fighting right now. So if I look in, this area, this is where the strength is, the weakness is, this is where the battle is. If you get over that area, there's really not much up above that, right? There's just not much up here. So if we're going to get a move off the Fed that projects us higher, either way, whether it's up or down, I suspect what you're going to see, and I draw them both in here, I suspect what you're going to see is you're going to see movement one way or the other as a result of it. In other words, it is going to carry most likely. And so if it does break to the top side, yeah, you could get that kind of move. And the real crux of the viewer question is like, okay, if you do that, then can this thing carry? Will it push on a breakout and carry? In other words, if we get over this particular area, and I'm looking at the weekly chart now, if we get over this particular area, is there anything to stop it? And not really. And on a weekly basis, until you get to these swing point lows, which happen to coincide with the daily charts on that retest regen, that would be the area that you'd see significant selling, or should see significant selling. Supply and demand suggest that's where it would be. And so if you break over this area, there's pretty clear sailing up into that zone. Now note that if you do this, and this was the viewer question, is like, if you do that, could you just come right back down again? So in other words, you push up into this zone, and then before you know it, what happens is you turn around and you come right back down the other way and push to the downside. And if we take and draw that in, you potentially get an ABCD structure to the downside that would break these lows, test or break the October lows, and then that would be sort of a big top up here on this market. If you're a head and shoulders person, if you're one of those people that really look at the head and shoulders, you have the head up here, the left shoulder there, and potentially the right shoulder starting to form, especially if this drives up, to create a large head and shoulders. And believe me, you will see all the classical people start to talk about it if and when we make that push. And that is the typical scenario that takes place on any kind of a major top. It takes a while to play out. You get some sort of a move down, you get volume expansion, you get the bounce, it fails, and then you get the downside. Can it set up that way? Sure. It's quite possible. Hey folks, thanks for joining me. I appreciate it. I am working remotely the next week and a half, probably 2 weeks. So even though the quality of the presentation may not be quite as good as it has been, hopefully the content is still there. So bear with me on the quality part of it. I'll do my best. And until next time, take care. I'll see you then. Goodbye.